Hi, my name is Brewster, and my last album was called Today is the Day. And this latest project I've got coming out is called Real Life. And I've spent a lot of time touring since we released the last album. Lots of stuff going on at church. And then obviously making this new project, which took quite a while to make, but I'm glad it's done.
Can you tell us about the process? Did you maybe co-write with someone?
Yeah, well, I did a lot of co-writing. I co-wrote with Paul Balash, with Mia Fields, Jason Ingram. Who else was on there? Those are the primary three, and loved the co-writing process. I think I'd be okay if I never wrote a song all by myself ever again. I just really like the interaction of writing with people, and so it was really a fulfilling process. And it's funny, Jason's on one of the songs, but I haven't actually gotten to write with him in person yet, so I look forward to that. And we've talked on the phone a bunch, and he seems like a great guy, so it was a lot of fun. The first single is called Reaching for You. It's a song I wrote with Paul Balash, and kind of a funny story behind that song. It started with the chorus, and I had the chorus actually before we recorded Today is the Day, the last album. And when the band and I played through it, which we'll get together and kind of rehearse through the songs and play them live and see how they feel. And when we played through that song, they liked the chorus, but they didn't like the verse that I had at all. They gave it thumbs down. So, and I typically like to get some consensus and where everybody likes a song before we really commit to it. So I waited on that song and I showed it to Paul. I showed him the chorus and he really liked it a lot, and I asked him to help me finish it. And he suggested that we turn it into a slow song. And Paul likes to do that a lot. So I thought, hey, maybe that was why I didn't record it fast. And so we finished writing the song as a slow song. And it worked. It was actually really cool. And he wanted to put it on his last album, Glorious. And we couldn't finish a bridge in time. And so he didn't put it on his album. So when I came around to recording songs for this new project, Real Life, I was going through my iTunes and stumbled across this demo that we had made of the song, and it was fast, and I went, it's got to be fast. It just really works. It's a high energy, high praise song, and I plugged the new verses that we had written to the slow tempo into the fast tempo, and it worked awesome. I was really glad. So I was hoping, the guys and I demoed that version of the song up, and I said, I hope Paul likes this, so I called him on his phone and I played it for him over the phone. He liked it, and then we wrote a bridge, and that's that. And so that's now the first single, and we've been playing that live a little bit, and it's gone really well. Hopefully it'll be a good song for churches to use on Sunday morning.
So most of the songs are for congregational worship, or?
There's kind of a mix of things, I think. Some of them are congregational worship. That's definitely a big part of my writing, and the call I feel that God's put on my life is to write worship songs. I think, and then there's some of the songs that are just more life experience songs, like the title cut, Real Life, is definitely more of a story song. It talks about my life up in Alaska growing up, and having a family today, and I guess just this sense that I still feel a bit like a little kid, and somehow I've gotten older, and apparently I'm a grown-up now, but I don't feel like it a lot. So the song just kind of came out of this conversation that I was having with the lady that I co-wrote it with, Mia Fields, who's a good friend of my family, and I was just telling her that, you know, I just still see this little kid when I look at my life, and it's how I feel inside. But I look around, and I've got a wife and 2 sons, and like a whole bunch of jobs, and more than I should have probably, and a lot of responsibilities, and so we had this good chat, and then I walked downstairs to get some water, and I just started humming this melody. It was like, and it's real life, and it's real good, and I was kicking this idea around. I got back up to the studio and was putting it into my phone, and Mia said, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, it's just something I was kicking around, thinking about our conversation." And she said, "We've got to finish that song," and so we finished it the next day, and it's been it was a great experience to write that song and to get through a lot of what the song's about. If you look underneath the lyrics, it doesn't spell it out in detail, but I grew up in a domestic violence environment, and my stepfather was an abusive alcoholic, but at the same time, I grew up in this beautiful place, this town called Homer, Alaska, and I had lots of great experiences, and I had lots of not so great experiences, and it was good to kind of flesh that out in a song. I'd never done that before, and for me, you know, I always hope that God will use songs. They're kind of tools in a way. If the song is just about me and just to let you know more about my life, then I don't think that's worth a whole lot. But to have a song that would move people's hearts, to examine what they've maybe been through in their life, to examine their todays, and to find as many reasons as they can to be grateful for what they have today, and to not let it pass by so easily, but to really soak up life and love on the people that God's put in your life, and then also to look out toward the future and ask yourself the question, what kind of what do I want to leave behind, you know? And for me, I heard it described once that an inheritance is something that you leave for somebody, but a legacy is something you leave in somebody. And I want to be someone who leaves a legacy behind. I want to leave something that's profound in my children and in my wife's heart and in the people that I get the opportunity to minister to. So it sort of turned into this bigger thought than how it started, and then it culminates with standing in front of the Lord one day and hoping that He's proud of me and what I've done with what He's placed in my care, and really thinking about that there's nothing more real than spending eternity in heaven with the Lord, and kind of going, all right, this is real life. And so that's kind of where the album title came from, and it's a special song to me, just on a personal level. It meant a lot to my wife and to my mom and to a lot of people who've gotten a chance to hear it, and I hope it does the same for you.
What kind of legacy do you want your album regarding
A few different things. I'm always big on encouragement, and I like people to feel encouraged. And I always try to tell people, like, you know how it feels when somebody comes up to you and encourages you and says, like, hey, I really appreciate this about you, or you did a great job, just something small maybe, and you feel so good and like, I really needed to hear that. I think it's real easy for each of us to discount the weight of our own words going in the other direction. So you might know that it feels good to get encouraged, but I want to remind people that it's real good to encourage as well. And so, and one of the best ways for me to start, like, as people encouraged me, it made me want to be an encourager. So that's why I like to encourage people, because I think it inspires them to do the same thing. So as people listen to the music, I hope it's fun to listen to. I always try to, from a craft standpoint, I try to make music that's interesting to listen to, that's got as much musicality as I can eke out. I'm a guitar player, so I like playing lots of guitar and doing guitar solos and making music you can turn up real loud in your car and try not to get a speeding ticket. I think on a heart level, I hope that people can connect with God in worship and maybe view their relationship with Him in a different way. There's several songs on the project that I hope will function like that. There's one called More Than Amazing that's a piano ballad. It talks about all the acts of Jesus. I'm really thinking about, the chorus says, you are amazing, more than amazing. You're forever our God, more than enough. We've done it at church a couple of times, and it's been really cool to see the response of people thinking about, again, all the things that Jesus did and how incredible He is and was. Another song called Whom Shall I Fear that features Carrie Job singing on it is exactly what it sounds like. It's really talking about trusting that even when things seem to be falling all around you in your life, that God's not going to let you fall. And take it as a big responsibility as a worship songwriter to put the right words in people's mouths to say back to God. And that's something that Paul Balash has always encouraged me with. And so that song is a lot of kind of faith statements. Because I know you live. It's saying something very specific. It was again co-written with Mia Fields, and it really actually spurred from a conversation I had with a friend of mine on the phone who was really going through a tough thing and had a lot of fears going on, and that's kind of where the song came from. So even though some of the songs on the project are straight worship songs, they just came from very real places. Every single one of them came from a very real place, a real thought, a real experience. The opening cut on the album is called Best Days, and I kind of credit my pastor with that song ever existing, because he has drilled into me for the last 10 years that every Christian ought to live like their best days are in front of them and not behind them. And I struggled with that concept at first until I looked at the Christian life as a whole. Not just the life that we spend on this earth, but the life that we have in eternity. And it made a lot of sense to me then. And so it's kind of a combination of Jeremiah 29:11 and Philippians 1:6 that really making the statement that we know and are confident that God will complete the good work that He started in us. And so it's a kind of an up rockin' song, and hopefully people can get up in the morning and if they're feeling down, put that song on and be like, yes, my best days are in front of me. They're not behind me. I'm not going to live like I should just give up from this point on out. That's not God's plan for our lives. So anyway, that's a definite snapshot to a bunch of them, but hopefully that makes sense in terms of the album title, Real Life. It's just all pretty authentic stuff that came from a real place, and we lived a lot of very real life through the making of the project.